It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, so I'm going to hope that I'm not too rusty, but when you take a couple days off, a couple much needed days off before having to get up at 3:30 in the morning to fly across the country to cover a couple games in the nation's capital, that kind of just happens as far as scheduling and things of that nature. But we are here now. We are at Nationals Park now as the San Francisco Giants beat the Washington Nationals 4-0 here on Friday night, again in the nation's capital. But before getting into the game, the biggest piece of news actually happened before the game when the Giants announced that Kyle Harrison would be joining the rotation, at least temporarily, in place of Justin Verlander, who was placed on the 15-day injured list on Friday, retroactive to May 19th due to the right pec injury. Verlander, as I mentioned, is going to miss at the minimum the next two starts, and we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But as far as Harrison, this will be his first start in the majors this season, and as far as where he's built up, it's probably somewhere in the range of 60 pitches, as manager Bob Melvin said pregame. So depending on how the outing goes, that will probably be in the range of 3 to 4 innings. The last time that he had a proper start was on April 30th. He threw 5 innings, allowed 1 run, 7 strikeouts, and threw up to 80 innings. Obviously, it's been not quite a month, but it's been a couple weeks since that outing, and he's not quite built up for a starter's workload at the moment. So the Giants aren't exactly just going to have him have the full gamut like someone like Webb or Ray or as Roupp did today. And as far as when that outing will be, given where things are, he's taking Verlander's, well, he's starting tomorrow, but as far as when the next starting will be after tomorrow, it probably be on May 30th against the Marlins in Miami. But after that, after these two starts against the Nationals tomorrow and potentially the Marlins, it's not quite clear where the Giants will go from here. I think the most straightforward course of action is that Verlander rejoins the rotation after missing a couple starts. Harrison goes back to the bullpen, but again, a lot of that is going to hinge on just what happens both in Harrison's starts and the next couple of days generally. And for the moment, interestingly enough, the Giants rotation currently features, in addition to Logan Webb and Robbie Ray, Kyle Harrison and Hayden Birdsong and Landen Roupp, the 3 guys who during spring training were all fighting for the 5th spot in rotation, and now due to circumstances they are all in the rotation for the time being. And it's not that difficult to envision a scenario, especially next year when this is the norm, when all 3 of them are occupying spots in the starting rotation. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. And as far as what Harrison has done this year, at least as far as major league relief appearances, he's had 4 appearances. He's allowed 2 earned runs over 5 1/3 innings, 7 strikeouts. The velocity has ticked up from, I think it was somewhere in the 92-mile-an-hour range last year to 95.8 miles per hour this year. As far as the Carson Whisenhunt element of all this, obviously he has been pitching phenomenally with AAA Sacramento. He's gone at least 70 innings. Well, he's gone 7 innings exactly in his last 4 starts. He's only allowed 4 runs. I want to say it's 28 strikeouts in 28 innings and 2 walks. But as far as Whisenhunt making his debut at this point in time, it made a lot more sense to have Harrison insert himself into the rotation just for these 2 starts because, as I mentioned, it's only guaranteed to be these 2 starts. It's not like Verlander is projected to be out for a long period of time, and it makes a lot more sense for Harrison to join the rotation for the time being and have Tristan Beck occupy his spot in the bullpen. Tristan Beck obviously being the corresponding move to Verlander going on the injured list. But it makes a lot more sense for Harrison to occupy the spot right now and then potentially go back to the bullpen, as opposed to Whisenhunt potentially making 2 starts and then having to go back to AAA and not really getting a true opportunity to get exposure at the major league level. And it wouldn't be shocking if Whisenhunt does make his major league debut at some point this season, especially given how he's pitching. Maybe there's another option, or maybe there's a way rather for him to join the team in the same capacity that Birdsong did when he made the opening day roster as a reliever, and the same thing with Harrison when he was called up to pitch in relief a couple weeks ago. But as of right now, Whisenhunt is going to remain with AAA Sacramento. As far as the game itself, the Giants win 4-0, and for the majority of this game, it was a pitcher's duel between Landen Roupp and Mackenzie Gore. Gore coming into this game leading all of Major League Baseball with 84 strikeouts, and both Roupp and Gore traded zeros for the first 6 innings of this game, but in the 7th inning, Gore exited the game. Well, he began the 7th inning by walking Jung-Hoo Lee on 5 pitches. Some of them were on the more erratic side, up and in. The one that eventually walked Lee caused Lee to throw his head back, his helmet to come off. Nothing intentional, of course. And then after going down 2-0 to Matt Chapman, Gore was taken out of the game with what would be diagnosed as nothing more than a Charlie horse. Obviously, we didn't know what it was in the moment, but if you go back, if you rewind the tape, in the top of the 2nd inning, Willy Adames hit a line drive off Mackenzie Gore that deflected off of Gore, and I'm forgetting who picked it up and fielded the out and recorded the out. And it was, anytime a pitcher gets hit with a comebacker, the manager's going to come out, the trainer's going to come out. It wasn't deemed anything serious. Gore stayed in the game. He shoved. He ended his night with 9 strikeouts. But the effects of that comebacker finally crept up several innings later. And once Gore exited the ballgame, that was when the Giants finally jumped on the Nationals bullpen. Willy Adames broke the ice with an RBI single. Patrick Bailey drew a bases-loaded walk. That was both in the 7th inning. And then in the 8th inning, Wilmer Flores had an RBI tying Seiya Suzuki with 43 RBIs for the most in the National League. And then Chapman would score on a wild pitch in the 8th inning as well. But this game could have easily gotten very much out of hand in the top of the 7th inning, where Roupp, for all he was cruising, for as well he was pitching through those first 6 innings, especially against the Nationals lineup that was composed exclusively of left-handed hitters, he began that inning by allowing a double, a walk, and just like that, Roupp's night was over, and in comes Randy Rodriguez, who, again, inherits a situation where this game could easily get out of hand if he doesn't put out that fire, but put out the fire. He does. He strikes out the first batter that he faces, gets the second to ground into an inning-ending double play, and that's that for the Nationals rally. Eric Miller pitches a scoreless 8th inning. Camilo Doval pitches a scoreless 9th inning, his 19th consecutive scoreless outing, and a bit of a full circle moment in a sense, because it was here last year at Nationals Park where Camilo Doval blew a save. He allowed 3 runs. The Giants would actually win that game in extra innings, but in the day, I think it was the next day after, again, I wasn't covering the team at the time, but it was the day after or sometime in the following days after where Doval in one fell swoop was not only demoted from the closer role, but was demoted from the major leagues entirely. And now if you look at him, he's regained that ability that he's flashed in 2023 as far as being one of the best relievers in Major League Baseball and being a core component of this Giants bullpen.